With the new month came a sliver of hope. Mr. and Mrs. Apney owned a boutique travel agency in London and would be partaking in the pleasures of Arabia on our dime as we tried to secure a contract with their agency. Larger tour operators were vying for the Apneys' business, tour operators whose staff didn't have to double duty like we did, and who had more vehicles and a better variety of organised tours. But Simon roused himself into pitching the Apneys a distinct level of personalised service that came with our humble size. From making the reservations, to the meet and greet at the airport, to being available at any time during their stay, Discover Arabia promised one dedicated agent instead of a whole ever-changing slew to take care of the Apneys' clientele. Simon tasked me with taking the Apneys around. With his morning cup of tea in hand, he followed me to the parking lot as I prepared the company van with water bottles and snacks, ran down the day's itinerary with the driver, and waited for Hannah, our tour guide, to finish her cigarette. Discover Arabia Tours was an industrial park of cargo shipping offices and storage bays. A stately Discover Arabia sign and row of potted plants elevated the converted warehouse that was our office. When the ruler, H.R.H. Sheikh Rashid, had bidden his citizens to make Dubai a place where the people of the world would come to play, Mohammed Salem had established the tour company. We were the smallest of his many business concerns, and we rarely saw him. Once or twice a year at most, when he roared into his parking lot in his silver Maserati and holed up with Simon for an hour or two. Simon worried we were going to be late as Hannah lingered over her cigarette with her fellow guide, Jette. They were the only Germans I'd ever met who weren't pathological about being on time. Then, Hannah announced she must run to the restroom. Simon impatiently tapped his thumb against the rim of his cup. I assessed his mood as we waited. I was looking for an opening, for a time when he wasn't mad, irritated, hungry, or upset about things out of his control. This morning was a toss-up. "Simon," I said tentatively, "I was wondering if there's anything you have for me." I meant off the books and after hours. Besides being managing director of Discover Arabia, Simon had befriended every important man in town, by which I mean he'd inured himself as a reliable local fixer. "Why?" he said. But then he recalled that he'd taken a large chunk of my salary to appease the owner after the Sheikh incident. "Is this about your sister? Lisa? Linda?" "Lucy," I reminded him. "She all right? Grace told me you've been trying to arrange things from here." It was disconcerting to picture Simon and Grace talking about me, but Simon probably couldn't recall exactly what Grace had said. He fully listened to us only when we came to him with a reservation issue or visa problem or guest complaint. He'd gotten the gist of what Grace had shared with him, though, and revelled in the brief frisson of magnanimity that came from showing he cared enough to comment. "Terrible when those we love are suffering." Holding the image of Lucy in my mind, I recalled how panicked and overwhelmed my mother had sounded on the phone, like she didn't know what was happening around her. It had been a day like any other. On my regular monthly call, when my mother, through her stammering and crying, gave me the news that was impossible to comprehend. Lucy had locked herself in her room, distraught and scared herself, and refused to come to the phone to talk to me. Dire thoughts had collided in my brain, and I wanted to catch the next flight home. But I was more help to them here, sending money as fast as I could earn it.